Have you ever followed all the right advice? You eat your vegetables, take your walks, even cut back on coffee after 3 p.m., but somehow, you're still waking up 3, maybe 4 times a night just to use the bathroom? You shift in your chair, trying to get comfortable, but there's that pressure again, low, dull, and familiar. You chalk it up to aging, maybe a stiff back or something you ate. But deep down, you know it's more than that. Something's changing. And it's not going away. Now here's the question no one's asking. What if this had nothing to do with age? What if one simple habit you've been doing for years, something you never thought twice about, was slowly, quietly, and consistently enlarging your prostate? I'm talking about something so routine, so ordinary, that you likely did it today without even noticing. And yet, over time, it could be what's causing your bladder issues, your restless sleep, and that uncomfortable pressure that makes you shift in your seat. As a prostate doctor, I've seen this again and again. Strong, intelligent men like you, retired, thoughtful, cautious about their health, sitting in my office, confused and frustrated. Not because they didn't care, but because no one ever warned them. And by the time they realized something was wrong, it had already started interfering with their lives. Listen, I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to give you the truth. Because if you're over 60, or if you care about someone who is, then this information isn't just useful, it's essential. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 hidden warning signs that your prostate may already be enlarging, and more importantly, I'll show you the everyday habit that might be fueling the problem without you even knowing it. By the end, you'll have a clear picture of what to look out for. And what small change could make a massive difference in how you feel, how you sleep, and how you function. So, stay with me. Because what you learn today might save you from years of discomfort, or even help someone you love avoid unnecessary pain. And while we're here, do me a quick favor. If you're watching this and you're over 60, or if you're caring for a father, a brother, or a dear friend who is, drop a comment below that says, "I'm watching." Let me know you're here, and that you're ready to take your health seriously. And if you haven't already, tap that subscribe button. This is Elderly Wisdom Guide, where we turn medical confusion into clarity, and where every video is made with your well-being in mind. Now, let's talk about that first warning sign, and how something as simple as getting up in the night might be telling you more than you think. Let me introduce you to Harold. Harold is 72. A retired school principal. Sharp as a tack. Loves gardening. Keeps a notebook by his window just to jot down quotes from books and birds he sees in the morning. But over the last few months, something started changing. Harold began waking up, first once, then twice. Then, suddenly, 4 or 5 times a night, just to go to the bathroom. At first, he brushed it off. "It's just age," he said. "Everyone my age gets up at night." But soon, those nighttime interruptions started catching up with him. He was groggy in the morning. Stumbling a little when he got out of bed. Forgetting where he left things. Skipping his morning walks. He even found himself dozing off mid-conversation with his wife. And that's when it hit him, this wasn't just about getting older. Something wasn't right. Now here's the thing, Harold isn't alone. Waking up to urinate once a night? That can be normal. But 2, 3, 4 times? That's your body trying to send a message. And the message is loud and clear. Your prostate is getting in the way. Here's what's happening inside. As the prostate gland grows, it starts pressing gently, but steadily, against the urethra, that tiny tube that carries urine from your bladder out of your body. And that pressure? It makes it harder for your bladder to empty all the way. So, you urinate. You think you're done. But your bladder is still holding onto some urine, and a couple of hours later, it's full again. So you wake up, again, and again. What's worse, the sleep you do get isn't deep. It's interrupted. That means less rest for your brain, your muscles, your immune system. And over time, you feel it. In your bones. In your memory. In your mood. In your balance. Here's the trap: most men think this is just a normal part of aging. They say, "Oh, it's just my bladder getting weaker." But that's not what's really happening. What's happening is that the prostate is quietly growing, creating a blockage that turns your restful nights into frustrating bathroom trips. Now, there are simple things you can do. Like avoiding large amounts of fluids in the evening, especially caffeine and alcohol. And yes, talking to your doctor to get your prostate checked. Because the sooner you catch this, the easier it is to manage. But what I want you to pay attention to is the habit that could be making all of this even worse. It's something Harold was doing every single day. Something so ordinary, he never imagined it had anything to do with his prostate. And we'll get to that soon. But first, I want to show you how this issue doesn't just steal your sleep. It starts robbing you of your energy, too. And for Harold, that was when things really started to unravel. After weeks of waking up throughout the night, he started sleeping in later. No more early morning walks. No more coffee on the porch while watching the sunrise. Instead, he stayed in bed, hoping to catch up on rest that never really came. He used to be the kind of man who couldn't wait to get his hands dirty in the garden. Now, he didn't even have the energy to water his plants. His mind? Foggy. His body? Sluggish. And his spirit? Quietly sinking. He told his wife, "I just feel off, like my battery's running low all the time." Now let me tell you something important. It wasn't just the sleep loss catching up with Harold. There was more going on beneath the surface. You see, when the prostate begins to enlarge, it doesn't only affect your bladder. It starts creating inflammation, low-grade, persistent, and often unnoticed. That inflammation spreads through the body like a slow burn. It affects your joints, your muscles, your brain chemistry, even your mood. And over time, it drains your energy. Not in a loud, dramatic way, but in a slow, quiet fade. Like a lamp losing power little by little, until the room starts to dim and you don't even realize it's happening. Now here's the tricky part: most people blame that kind of fatigue on aging. They say, "Well, I'm getting older, this is just what happens." But that's not always true. Because when it comes to energy levels in your senior years, there's a big difference between normal tiredness and the kind of fatigue that steals your joy, limits your mobility, and pulls you away from the things you love. And prostate issues? They're often the hidden culprit. So, if you've noticed that your days feel heavier than they used to, if you're skipping walks, delaying chores, or just feeling less like you, don't brush it off. Start paying attention to your nights. Track how many times you're waking up to urinate. Track how your mornings feel after. That pattern? It's a clue. A very real sign that your body is struggling to keep up. And look, I know it's easy to tell yourself, "I'm just tired." But chronic fatigue in men over 60, especially when paired with disrupted sleep and bathroom issues, is often more than tiredness. It's your body quietly saying, "Help me." And the sooner you listen, the more you can do. But for Harold, there was another twist he didn't see coming. Because even when he wasn't moving, even when he just sat down to rest, he started feeling pain. Not sharp. Not sudden. But dull, persistent, and strange. It showed up when he sat too long. On the couch, in the car, even at church. And that was the next big warning sign. Now here's where Harold's story took another unexpected turn. He used to love spending quiet afternoons in his old recliner. Feet up, book in hand, a cup of tea beside him, those were his peaceful hours. But lately, sitting just didn't feel the same. At first, it was a little pressure. A strange ache in his lower pelvis. He shifted in his seat. Thought maybe the cushion was wearing out. So, he changed chairs. Added a pillow. Took a few breaks. But the discomfort followed him. At the dinner table. During his morning coffee. Even during long drives or church service. It was subtle, but constant. That nagging pressure that made him shift from one side to the other, trying to find a comfortable position that never came. And that's when he started wondering. Is this really just my chair? Or is something else going on down there? What Harold didn't realize is something I've seen again and again. A significantly enlarged prostate doesn't just affect how you pee. It can cause real, physical discomfort, especially when you're sitting. Let me explain why. As the prostate grows, it can begin pressing on surrounding tissues, especially the nerves and muscles in your lower pelvis. And when you sit, all that weight settles right in that area. Now combine that with restricted blood flow, tight muscles, and inflammation, and suddenly, sitting becomes a source of pain rather than rest. Some men feel a dull, throbbing ache. Others feel sharp, stinging pressure that shoots toward the back or down into the thighs. And many confuse it with something else: hemorrhoids, sciatica, arthritis, even just a bad chair. But here's the truth. When this pain shows up with frequent urination and fatigue, you've got a pattern worth paying attention to. And here's what I'll tell you: switching chairs won't fix this. New cushions won't do the trick. You might feel better for a little while, but if the root cause is an enlarged prostate, the discomfort will always come back. So, what should you do? First, don't ignore it. Discomfort while sitting, especially if it's new, is a message. It's your body saying, something down here isn't right. And the best place to start? A conversation with your doctor. Yes, it might lead to a simple digital rectal exam, and I know, nobody looks forward to that. But it's quick, it's painless, and it can give you answers that no chair ever will. Because when your prostate starts affecting your comfort, when even sitting still starts to hurt, it's time to stop guessing and start listening. But here's the part that surprises most men. These symptoms. Getting up at night, feeling drained, sitting in pain, they all tie back to one hidden habit. A daily routine so common, so ordinary, that you probably did it for hours today without a second thought. And that habit? It could be the very thing that's quietly making all of this worse. Now let's pause for a moment and get real. Because this right here, might be the most important part of everything we've talked about so far. Harold's discomfort, his fatigue, his sleep disruptions. They all had one silent driver behind them. And it wasn't something complicated. It wasn't a rare condition or an accident of genetics. It was something he was doing every single day. Sitting. For hours at a time. In his recliner. At the table. Watching TV. Reading the newspaper. Even doing crossword puzzles. And listen, I get it. After decades of working, raising kids, building a life, you deserve to rest. And when you retire, that's exactly what you should do: rest, relax, recharge. But here's the catch nobody talks about: too much sitting isn't just making you stiff. It could be quietly enlarging your prostate. Here's how it works. When you sit for long periods, especially without breaks, blood flow to the pelvic region slows down. Now think about where your prostate is. It's tucked right there, deep in the pelvis. When circulation in that area drops, your body starts to build up pressure. Fluids collect. Tissues swell. Inflammation rises. And over time, all of that congestion puts stress on the prostate. It becomes irritated. Inflamed. Enlarged. And the longer you sit, the worse it gets. This isn't just theory, this is biology. Your body was made to move. Even slow, gentle movement helps keep blood flowing, lymph draining, and inflammation down. But when that movement stops, when your daily routine becomes hours of sitting broken up by short trips to the kitchen or bathroom, you're creating the perfect environment for prostate trouble to grow quietly. Now here's the big misconception: a lot of seniors believe that rest equals recovery. That sitting down is the safest, healthiest choice, especially with age. But the truth is, inactivity speeds up decline. And it especially impacts your reproductive and urinary systems. Because these systems rely on regular movement, muscle contraction, and circulation to stay functional and balanced. So, what can you do? It's not about running marathons or joining a gym. It's about breaking up the stillness. Start small. Every 30 to 45 minutes, stand up. Stretch your legs. Walk across the room. Do a few slow circles with your hips or shoulders. Even tidying up the kitchen or folding laundry can count. The goal isn't intensity, it's frequency. Small, regular movements keep blood flowing through your pelvis, and help keep your prostate from becoming a pressure zone. Because your body responds to what you repeatedly do. And if what you repeatedly do is sit, and sit some more, your body will adapt, and not in a good way. So, the next time you find yourself parked in the same chair for hours, ask yourself, is this habit helping me, or quietly hurting me? And remember, movement isn't just good for your joints or your heart, it could be the very thing that protects your prostate from silent damage. But we're not done yet. Let's get back to Harold for a moment. By now, his nights were restless. His energy was low. Sitting had become uncomfortable. And quietly, without saying much, another problem had started creeping in. His urine stream. He noticed it first in the mornings. He'd walk into the bathroom, ready to relieve himself, and nothing would happen. Just a long pause, a frustrating hesitation, and then, finally, a slow, weak stream. It wasn't painful. It wasn't dramatic. It was just different. At first, he laughed it off. "Takes me longer to start the engine now," he'd joke. But inside, he was embarrassed. He didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want to worry his wife or feel like something was wrong with him. So, like many men do, he kept quiet. Now here's what I want you to understand: a slow or hesitant urine stream isn't just about age. It's not something to ignore. It's a clear signal that something is physically interfering with your body's ability to release urine the way it should. And in men over 60, the most common cause? An enlarged prostate. Here's what's happening inside. As the prostate grows, it presses against the urethra, that narrow tube that carries urine out of your bladder. Imagine squeezing a garden hose. No matter how full the tank is behind it, that water's going to struggle to get through. It'll trickle instead of flow. And your bladder? It's left working harder and harder, trying to push through the squeeze. That extra strain on your bladder muscles can lead to other complications too, like urgency, leakage, or even bladder damage over time. But it all starts with those small moments of hesitation and slow stream. And far too many men ignore them. One of the biggest misconceptions I hear is, "I guess I just have to go more often now." Or, "I probably drank too much water." But listen closely. Slow stream has nothing to do with how often you go. It has everything to do with how fully you can go when you try. So, here's what I recommend: start keeping track. Not just how often you urinate, but how it feels when you do. Do you hesitate before it starts? Does the stream feel weak or interrupted? Do you feel like you're never fully empty? These aren't just minor annoyances. They're red flags. And if you're noticing them more than once in a while, it's time to speak up. Because the sooner you catch it, the easier it is to treat it, without aggressive procedures or serious complications down the road. But what happens next is where many seniors unintentionally make things worse. When urination becomes difficult or frequent, they stop drinking water altogether. And that leads us straight into the next sign, one that not only worsens prostate issues, but starts causing a chain reaction of health problems that no one sees coming. So, here's where Harold, like many seniors, made a decision that seemed logical at the time. He thought, if I don't drink much water, I won't have to pee so often. Problem solved, right? So, he cut back. He sipped only when he absolutely needed to. And for a few days, it felt like it was helping. But not long after, something else showed up. Harold began struggling with constipation. And it wasn't the occasional kind you shake off after a heavy meal. It was persistent. Uncomfortable. And it started affecting his appetite, his mood, even how often he left the house. Then came the headaches. Dry mouth. Irritability. A constant sense of sluggishness that seemed to wrap itself around every part of his day. What Harold didn't know was that in trying to avoid the bathroom, he was creating a whole new problem, one that pushed his prostate health even further in the wrong direction. Let me explain how this works. When you reduce your water intake, a few things happen all at once. 1. Your urine becomes more concentrated, thicker, darker, and more acidic. This irritates the bladder lining, which makes you feel like you need to pee even more often, defeating the whole purpose of cutting back. 2. Your stool dries out, making it harder to pass. And when you strain on the toilet, especially over time, that pressure doesn't just affect your colon. It pushes backward, against the prostate. It's like squeezing a balloon from both ends. And here's the kicker. That buildup of pressure, irritation, and inflammation, it can actually accelerate prostate enlargement and increase urinary symptoms. That's why this belief, drink less to avoid the bathroom, isn't just a bad idea. It's a dangerous one. Now I know what you might be thinking, but I don't want to chug water and run to the bathroom every 10 minutes. And you don't have to. It's not about drinking a gallon of water at once. It's about steady hydration. Try sipping small amounts throughout the day. A few ounces every hour. Enough to keep your urine pale yellow and your bowels moving gently. And don't rely solely on water, broths, herbal teas, juicy fruits like watermelon and oranges, these all help, too. Hydration keeps your systems in balance. It reduces bladder irritation, softens your stool, and allows your prostate the space it needs to function without pressure. It's one of the simplest and most overlooked tools in protecting your health as you age. And Harold? Well, by the time he realized the role dehydration was playing, he was already dealing with more than just discomfort. His prostate had swelled beyond normal range, and it was now pressing not only on his urethra, but also affecting his kidneys. He needed help. And fast. So, what happened to Harold? Harold's journey isn't rare. In fact, it's far too common. Every week, I hear from men in their 60, 70, and 80, fathers, grandfathers, husbands, who've suffered in silence for years. They say things like, I thought it was just aging. I was too embarrassed to bring it up. Or, heartbreakingly, I didn't want to seem weak. Let's be clear, there is nothing weak about taking care of your health. There is nothing shameful about acknowledging your body is changing. What is dangerous is ignoring the signs until it's too late. Because here's what often happens, men wait too long. By the time they get help, the symptoms have spiraled, sleep is gone, energy is drained, relationships strained. It doesn't just affect the body. It affects the entire man. But today, we draw a line. This isn't about fear. It's not about guilt or regret. It's about power. The power that comes from knowing what to look for, and doing something about it. Right now, you have a window of opportunity. If you've noticed the signs, whether it's waking up at night, feeling off, or dealing with discomfort when you sit, don't chalk it up to just getting older. Because aging isn't the enemy. Inaction is. Call your doctor. Move more. Hydrate better. Rethink your daily routine. Start the change, because you can. Many men just like Harold have reversed these early symptoms without surgery or medication. Simple, consistent lifestyle changes can turn the tide. You don't have to accept this as your new normal. You can reclaim your energy. You can regain your confidence. You can rest through the night again, without fear or frustration. It's not too late. And if Harold can do it, so can you. Let's quickly recap. If you're dealing with frequent nighttime urination, constant fatigue or sluggishness, discomfort while sitting, a slow or hesitant urine stream, and signs of dehydration or constipation, these are not random problems. Together, they form a pattern. And that pattern often points to one culprit, an enlarging prostate. Made worse by long hours of sitting, not enough water, and simply ignoring what your body's been trying to tell you. But now, you know better. And that gives you a chance to do better. So, I ask you, have you noticed any of these signs? Has someone you love mentioned them in passing? Let's break the silence. Drop a comment below. Tell us what you've experienced. What changes have helped? What are you still unsure about? Because your story, your questions, your courage, it might be exactly what another person needs to hear today. And if this video resonated with you, even just a little, please tap the like button. And subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide, where every day, we bring you compassionate, science-backed advice for aging with strength, clarity, and purpose. This channel isn't just about information. It's about empowerment. And it's built for people like you, who want to age not with fear, but with wisdom. Thank you so much for spending your time here today. Take care of yourself. Take action where it counts. And above all, stay active. Stay aware. And stay wise. I'll see you in the next video.